Hello. Apologies if it looks messier than usual behind me. It's because I took the Enfield down earlier so my granddad could play with it when he came over. And I haven't put it up yet. I'm debating whether or not to put it back up or just store it somewhere else. And then maybe, I'm thinking maybe just trying to put a bit more of a neat, Soviet mask display up there to match the thing. Because obviously I did have the load of Soviet masks on the Enfield. But I'm thinking I might just try and put them up a bit differently, like the same ones that are on the poster sort of thing. But hope everybody's all right. So last night I did go out in the night vision and it was amazing. Weren't you hearing me say, Dan? I was saying my granddad was playing with it earlier, so I've not put it back up yet. And I can't show it on the stream anyway, but it's in the other room. It's perfectly safe, but as much as you're not meant to show guns on a live stream, let me just show you, because I'm sure me holding up a picture of my granddad holding the Enfield, they'd be really pushing it if that was not allowed. There you go. If that focuses, I don't think it quite wants to focus. Oh, there we go. So what did he do? Oh, yeah. I think that person's come on here before, but yeah, I wouldn't joke about stuff like that at the moment, just because it's getting too yeah. But yeah, I knew putting Covidiots in the title would probably get a load of them into the stream. Rogue Warfare films, no. Yeah, well, I thought if I put that in the title, they might come on and then it would give us a laugh, but whether or not that was a good idea. But hello, everybody. Right, I just need to quickly check if I've had an email. I might not get one till a lot later, but the person who sold me the night vision, yeah, I've not got one yet. The person who sold me the night vision said he's got a manual for it and he can send it me. And by the look of it, he's watching the videos on here before, so because this is YouTube, Mr. Red-Eyed Jedi, you can just put videos up of this stuff. The easiest way is just film a video of the stuff and then put on YouTube, and then everybody can see it. Yeah, well, the real reason, Yorkshire Tom, is that we are kind of having a new Cold War with China, and we don't want Chinese tech, apparently. That's the real reason. Not the conspiracy reasons of it's because Huawei 5G causes coronavirus, because that's obviously not true. If it's radioactive and it says, yeah, that's Homer Laughing Company, the HLO or something like that. But yeah, that sounds legit. I mean, I don't know if anybody made knockoff radioactive Fiestaware, because I know other companies made Fiestaware style stuff. Thank you, AK. But yeah, I know other companies made knockoff Fiestaware kind of products, but I don't think they ever pretended it was real Fiestaware, and I don't think they ever imitated a radioactive one. So yeah. But yeah, hello everybody joining. Some of the messages are shooting up a bit too quickly to sort of read and respond to them properly. I'll try, and if I remember on this stream, to read out somebody's comment as I answer it, because sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. But I know a lot of people appreciate that when they listen to streams back later on. Keaton says, how many microsieverts an hour does your plate or bowl emit? Mine emits 34 microsieverts. Let's turn this on and check. It does actually depend where you put the sensor to it as well. And I'll turn the ticking off because that will get annoying fast. Just a second. It's picking the Fiestaware up. Right. If I can get the menu to open, there we go. User options, speaker. Speaker off. Right, there we go. Right, so you want to know the microsievert dose equivalent. Right, there's the counter, Keaton. There's my Fiestaware. What will it go up to? I'll probably hold it like that. I'll probably give it the best. 25. Yeah, I guess about 25, 26 microsieverts. Although I've noticed these aren't completely universal in how much radiation they give off. As in, like, some bits of it, I guess, has more uranium in the glaze than other bits, because some bits are more active, it seems. You know, if you put a Geiger on some bits of them, you know, regardless of... I know, obviously, the shape and everything plays a factor, but with Fiestaware, I've noticed with, like, some of the smaller Geiger counters, or, like, the ones with probes, if you run it across different bits of the plate, you get different readings. And yeah, I think one of my little bits of Fiestaware is even more spicy. Oh, thank you very much. JD says, cheeky breaky comrade, thank you very much for the donation. Is that Australian dollars? Because it says A and then $1, so I'm not assuming it's not $1. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, if I can scroll up, I can unban Soviet films. It wasn't me that banned him, it was a mod. But let me unban him, because, yeah. Right, I've unhidden him, but yeah, remember, if people are actually joking about Corona, they better put joke in the thing, because otherwise some of us think you are literally the people who think, you know. It's still pretty bright outside. Yeah, you can. There you go, look. Yeah, it's bright outside. I got the curtains closed, otherwise it would shine in my face. But yeah, it's pretty bright. That's interesting, Ash Stewart. So, an ROC post in the ocean. So, what is it, like one that's actually? How did they do it then? Like, is it in shallow water or is it in deep water? Sadly, Keaton, mine was like 50 quid because so that's over $50 because it was the price of it plus the shipping from the US. That was the more expensive bit, the shipping and the tax from the US. But I did want to get an actual proper bit of Fiestaware. Oh, it fell off a cliff. Oh, that makes sense. I was wondering then, did they actually on purposely kind of build an aquatic one with just like the vent sticking up out of the water? Thank you, Altrix. He said, that dude just donated $50. Have a drink on me, by the way. Thank you. I'm probably going to stick to 1 pint tonight because I was a good boy recently, not drinking very much. And then last night, when I was in bed, I couldn't get to sleep. So I thought, right, I'll have some wine. And then I drank a bit too much and felt a bit hungover today. Not properly hungover, but, you know, where it's like, oh, this will help me get to sleep. And then it's, oh, probably didn't drink enough water with it as I went to sleep. So, you know, when you wake up, you're like, oh, I've got a bit of a headache. It's Abbott Ale today. Mystic Gamer said, my granddad fought with the South Vietnamese army in the Vietnam War. He died in the 1980s due to smoking. He told stories to my mum like he had to eat rice out of his helmet. That sounds interesting, but shame he's obviously died. But yeah, obviously smoking's not good for you. It's pretty addictive, isn't it? But... No, what's Auditing Britain about Soviet films? Philip says, I'm worried my S10 is being deformed in the haversack. Is there really something I should worry about? What haversack is it in, Philip? The actual proper S10 carriers shouldn't deform it at all because they're obviously built to the shape of the mask. You can get our FP5 filters Albie May on eBay. Just bear in mind, FP5s technically shouldn't fit GOST masks. This is the weird thing. There's loads of FP5s that turn out are GOST threaded, but there's also FP5s that aren't GOST threaded, and officially on paper, FP5 filters shouldn't be GOST threaded. It's the P5 filter that should be GOST threaded. But what's confusing is there's lots of Polish FP211 and FP5 filters that are just GOST threaded, even if they put the NATO sticker on it. Right, Braden, there's two variants of the FM12 and CT12. Well, I don't have the CT12, but with the FM12, you get one that's got a blanking plug on one side. I can't understand that. Let me translate it, but thank you. Unless it's an insult, but let's get the translate up. But you've given me money, so asbestos makes you stronger. I don't believe it does. In fact, it's good for fireproofing, but it's not good for your lungs. But thank you again. But yeah, so Braden, yeah, the point was with my FM12 I've got is the one that has the fixed voice diaphragm model, like the S10, where it's like basically got a fixed one on one side and you can't take it off. But 40, some of them have a 40mm blanking plug on that side. Thank you, Altrix and Marcus. Altrix says you've gotten over $110 today. Wow. I think they're Australian dollars, though. They're not like real dollars, but yes, I do appreciate it. And thank you, Marcus. Just like his Hong Kong dollars aren't worth as much as real dollars, but I never, I never complain when people give me money. But yeah, just because it says dollar doesn't mean it's the equivalent of US dollar. So, yeah, anyway, so with the FM12, you can get two variants. One that's basically got the 40mm ports on both sides, and one that's basically a fixed one. If it's the fixed one, you can't take it out. I mean, it might be possible with the right tools to take it out without damaging the mask. I don't know. I wouldn't risk it if you've got a good condition FM12. But if you've got the one that has the blanking plug, essentially the official Avon blanking plugs are a little voice diaphragm in a blanking plug. So when you put it in there, although it makes an airtight seal, it does act as a secondary voice diaphragm. They're pretty good. Yeah, I don't think it'd be like Zimbabwean dollars, wouldn't it, Defiant Shackleton? I suppose you could build a little paper house out of old Reich marks that would actually, were they called Reich marks before World War II? Or was that like a Nazi thing calling them Reich marks? Weren't they just the marks then? I don't know. I actually really don't know. Yeah, still my favourite Soviet gas mask. There's a couple of other Soviet ones I like the PBF and other things. You could message me on Patreon, Braden, or Discord. If you're on Discord, that's easier for me to reply if you just at me on Discord. But sadly, I've never seen them blanking plugs for sale because they're He said, this message brought to you by NordVPN. Thank you. I've got a VPN, but it isn't actually NordVPN. It's the one that comes with my antivirus stuff, and I tend to not really need to use a VPN very much because, I'm not really that bothered if when I go somewhere they tailor the adverts where I live. Sorry, to go back to your point, Braden. I've never seen them, sadly, for sale, blanking plugs on their own. I had to build my own blanking plug recently, which I can show you. And this was because I didn't have a GOST blanking plug. So this is my homemade blanking plug that looks a bit shit, but it works. It's essentially silicone adhesive on each side to make it a glue. Thank you, person. Is that Yen? I10. Thank you very much. But yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, if you can 3D print them, just 3D print them and just make sure they're from a type. You might want to put a bit of silicone on them, though, silicone adhesive on them, because the problem with 3D printed material is it tends not to be airtight, as in it's like got tiny things in it. Monty hype sent to me, but yeah, This one, basically what I did is I had a GOST parts pack. So it's a 40mm GOST like bit from a hose, essentially. So obviously that screws in. And then the set also had lots of rubber like washers and things in it. So then I put those in it. So it was airtight without the silicone adhesive. Obviously, the risk is it could have fallen apart while you were wearing it. So then I put silicone adhesive on both sides and let it dry. So although it looks a bit messy, that's basically just like solid rubber in there now. And there's enough of it that, you know, because if I added more to it, I suppose it would make it more secure, but it would also mean it would weigh more. So yeah, now that goes in to any GOST or NATO mask. Because it's GOST, it will actually screw into the NATO masks, all right. I don't know why a super chat message is limited to one word. I don't think they are. Other people have done super chat messages that are longer. Lord Quanticus says, I dare you to say, like and subscribe right now, or else this spider will be in your bed tonight. Weirdly, not last night, but 2 nights ago, I did have a spider crawl across me when I was sleeping. And, you know, when you're actually quite tired, you're like, oh well. I don't know, Train Spotter, why it won't let you. But yeah, the point is, if you can make your own blanking plug, so if you can't find any for sale. Cambridge mask. I don't know what the Cambridge mask is. I'm going to have to look it up. I know where Cambridge is, but I live in Oxford, so I prefer Oxford to Cambridge. But, not really, but there, I prefer the Oxford mask. Let's have a look at the Cambridge mask. It says a site called cambridgemask.com. Oh, so it's like so it's basically like a so it's a P2.5 half. It looks alright. I mean, the problem is with some of those fashiony looking ones, I kind of think just get a proper respirator. But the Cambridge mask looks alright. Yeah, that's the thing. Spiders don't bother me. If there's a spider in the house and it's in the way, I just open the window up and gently put it out the window. And that's on the ground floor. I'm not chucking it out the window like that, but I don't mind picking them up. But yeah, in the UK, thankfully, as far as I'm aware, we don't get any spiders that are poisonous to humans. So, you know, it really doesn't bother me if there's a spider there, unless it's just in the way of you wanting to do something. I think that's a person being racist there, so I'm going to actually hide them fully. I think it's basically, you know, I'm not going to say what he said, but I think it's basically where somebody's, you know, saying, oh, I'm black, but then I'm going to say derogatory things about black people, where what he's actually saying is I'm a white person being racist against blacks. Hello, Joseph, you all right? Building Stuff says, I got one of the RZ masks, closest to a real N95 I can find. It's and it's more of keeping stuff in at this point. Yeah, I mean, the guidance basically is in the UK. The guidance in the UK, I know other countries have done this already, is that basically you have to wear a face covering now on public transport and in shops as of like Monday or Wednesday or something, isn't it? Can't remember what day it is that you have to wear the face mask in shops, so I've been doing it anyway. But the idea is that basically it's just mutually assured protection, that if everybody had some cloth over their mouth or whatever, it would, you know, it makes it harder to spread germs. Train Spotter SGM says, I purchased my Polaron Pripyat waiting for it to arrive. Also a Thorium mantle, thanks to the stream. It's really interesting. Yeah, that's one of those really cool old, like early LCD Geiger counters, isn't it? I've No Surviving the Apocalypse has done a load of videos on those recently. That's the 24th. The thing is, Defiant Shackleton, I just do not get why they don't say, right, as of tomorrow, this is the rule, you know, or whatever, or as of now. I don't see, and then give it just a little grace period for people to get used to it, you know, where they wouldn't be fined or whatever. But I just do not understand why, like, oh, we're going to bring this rule in, but it's like 2 weeks away on a weird day. Oh, hello, Blulu. It's not very good, is it, in Florida at the moment with your corona cases? Hope you're staying safe. But what's the RZ mask anyway? Let me search it. RZ mask. Oh yeah, one of those. The thing is, when those masks are built well enough, they're actually all right. The issue is I've had some masks like that I ended up giving other people who needed masks for Corona, which just wouldn't make a good seal of my face because, they're ones you couldn't adjust well enough. Or I just found they like a really cheap, nasty material. The ones that were really cheap, nasty materials, I didn't give those away to other people, because I'm not that much of a dick. Like, oh, I'm giving you a mask to help you, but it's because it's a shit mask. But yeah, the priority when I gave out masks to people who wanted masks for Corona stuff early on was just masks I didn't get on with particularly. I didn't have any fondness for. Because if they're masks that have a collector's value, obviously I wouldn't really give them away unless people really, really needed them. But it was more just, I've got these masks, I've got way better masks if I really want to wear a mask. They don't fit me all that well. Look, they might work for you. That's all right, Chris. Don't worry about it. Yeah, like the worst story, real DI, I heard was that some old bloke was killed or something because he asked a guy to put a mask on and then he was stabbed to death. And you think, in what sort of, in the sane world, I know we don't live in a sane world, but, getting stabbed to death because you ask somebody to put the mask on when you're like a minimum wage shop worker. It's like, fucking hell, retail was awful. Well, the best tactic, Benzie, would be hope you never get exposed to them. Oh, your name is pronounced Real Disco. Oh, sorry, yeah. I see now, yeah. It for the question about sweat pooling on your mask, the only real thing is if you can't put silica gel inside the mask or something, is make sure you get a mask that has an exhale valve right at the bottom, then the sweat drains out the exhale valve. But yeah, the thing about chemical weapons is really deadly stuff like nerve agent. I don't think you're honestly going to survive it as a civilian, because the problem is with stuff like nerve agents is that they're really, really deadly really quickly. Good that the driver was kitted out at least, Mike. But yeah, in the best thing I'd think, although yeah, like we were saying, you can wear waterproof gear with a mask and a filter and everything. You'd obviously have to know beforehand what the gas is going to be there, wouldn't you? I mean, the easiest thing I'd imagine is if somebody could just do like a decent air filtration system into a basement or something, and then you could overpressure the basement. I think that'd be the easiest thing for like a family. Yeah, exactly, Steve. You don't necessarily have to inhale them or get them in your eyes or whatever. They touch your skin, get in via the pores of your skin, and fuck you up that way. The UK, Jacob, I think is probably going to have a second wave. We're not accelerating as badly as America is at the moment, and like Brazil, but it's where they've opened some stuff back up. There's lots of mixed messaging where the government never really wants to enforce stuff, and now we're getting a sort of issue where as stuff opens up, lots of people aren't following the rules very well, and then you're seeing spikes in cases. Yeah, that's that. I wish they did more stuff like that over here, but again, I guess we just don't have the manufacturing capability, sadly, anymore to do that. But yeah, I think that obviously helps. I think really what we could have honestly done is just insisted everybody wore masks to begin with, and then we'd have probably had a lot less issues. That's all right, Train Spotter. I know a lot of people come on these and enjoy the videos. Oh, that's interesting, Shackleton. What sort of documents are they? Like stuff on like the survive to fight type stuff, or is it stuff more about like how the chemical weapons work or whatever? I personally would not store food in Fiestaware. I mean, if it's sealed, Fiestaware isn't giving off neutrons, but I still wouldn't do it. You know, it's personally, I would just keep the Fiesta Wear as a radioactive curiosity. I do amateur dramatics, but obviously that's not going on at the moment because of Corona. But I do amateur dramatics, which is quite fun, just like at a local village hall type thing where we have quite a few members of all different professions. You know, no qualifications needed. We just do it for fun, you know, raise a bit of money for charity and gives people a laugh. But so I guess that's a sort of hobby. But most of it is just YouTube-y collecting militaria type stuff as hobbies. Now, yeah, that makes sense why it was too tight if you had a hood on under the mask. Yeah, you wearing hoods under masks generally breaks the seal. I wouldn't recommend it. Lots of people saying cheeky bricky. No cheeky bricky of Namco. Yes, Jacob, I've got a new hobby I can do in the evenings at least now. Going out with the night vision, getting some exercise, just because I bought a really good unit the other day. Oh, whoops, I left that on last night. Oh, well, the battery hasn't run down. That's good to know. But yeah, a bit of a waste of the battery leaving that on. A lot of people like Eastin Rafar. Sorry if I've not pronounced your name right. Most of the videos I've done, people that think are funny are the parody ones. I don't know which you'd find the funniest, I guess, on your sense of humour. My favourite parody video on YouTube, made by like a regular YouTuber, is the one Weapon Collector did on the offensive weapons or whatever it was parody, where it was like kind of meant to be like one of those poorly educated news reporters kind of saying about, you know, like stuff that was being banned basically, but, you know, not understanding what they were. I don't know if the traffic warden one was even really meant to be a parody. It's just basically that's how you would dress up as a traffic warden from Fred's. But I suppose, sadly, the way the world is heading, you know, I'm sure 2020 wouldn't, you know, how bad 2020 is going. Maybe in December we will have a thermonuclear war, you know, between either us and China or whatever. And then maybe that will become a relevant outfit, sadly. Yes, right. I've done a quick video on it. I've got a video edited together and rendered that goes on next week. Let me tell you what day it's on. I don't have any proper ghillie suits. I've never really seen the massive appeal of them, at least for me, because I'm sure I damage them. Right, it's going on July the 26th. So that is next Sunday. So yeah, next Sunday. Thank you very much, Axton Dragonoff. He said, have you played War of Rights? I'm sorry for off-topic question. War of Rights sounds familiar. Let's Google it. So this is the American Civil War game. Right, let me look in my Steam library. I reckon I've got that on Steam, but I don't think I've currently got it installed. I think I have played a bit of that, but it was spawn, die, spawn, die, spawn, die. War of Rights, there we go. Playtime, 47 minutes. I haven't got it installed at the moment, but I might actually reinstall it at some point and give it a go and try and play it properly. Probably because it's been updated a lot since I last played it. So it's probably had, you know, it's probably a lot better in terms of the game. But I didn't have a great experience with it when I first played it. I didn't think it was a bad game. It was just, you know, one of those things where I couldn't be asked to learn all the mechanics. And I think I was on a bit of a one-sided map. But Steve, which thing was which was the video I said about the strap on? I assume it was to do with a gas mask or something, saying the strap on the gas mask. Was it within the Chinese gas masks? Axton says weapons and stuff, thanks again. Would be a god tier officer. Well, I'd have to talk like that to be an officer in the American Civil War. Actually, I don't know. It depends if you're being a Johnny Reb, doesn't it, or a Unionist? Because if you're in the Union, you'd have a Northern American accent. It'd be like Boston, New Jersey accent. Oh Christ! But yeah, then if you're a Reb, you'd have to have a advance the flag of Dixie. But yeah, well, I probably shouldn't sing any of the words of Dixie because I'm sure that's one of the things that's super offensive now on YouTube, and you know, because history has to be this really one-sided thing. You can't have a debate about how the American Civil War was fucked up for basically everybody involved in it. You know, the brilliant line from Johnny Cash in God Bless Robert E. Lee, brother against brother, father against son, the war that nobody won. Thanks, Mike, for posting that. But yeah, the point is that, it's just fucking historical revisionism, especially with like civil wars. It's like, yes, in the American Civil War, the Confederate government and, the idea of keeping slaves, I totally do not agree with. The regular Southern soldiers were not slave-owning, it's that sort of thing. I don't want to go on a rant about that, but it's kind of annoying when people are like, oh, you must be a super racist person because you don't want to demonize every Confederate soldier all the time, 24/7. What annoys me is all the people who give bad reviews to movies like Gettysburg and Gods and Generals because, it's Confederate propaganda. What? Because it shows people as humans on both sides of the war? Oh, can't have that. I've not been to Moscow. Sadly, I've not been to Russia at all. I've seen the border of Russia, so I've actually looked at Russia when I was in Finland because they took us up to the border so we could have a look. So I've actually physically seen Russia, but I've never been to Russia, sadly. I'd love to go to Russia at some point, but I've not been, and, at the moment. When you say DuPont, do you mean DuPont? DuPont makes good stuff, yeah. I'm not a massive fan of Tyvek and Tychems just because they're a bit crinkly, but DuPont is a good company when it comes to armor and, gear. I used to play a lot of Team Fortress 2. Sadly, I found the game for me got a bit broken after lots of the updates. But I did used to play a lot of Team Fortress 2. At the moment, I've been playing a lot of Garry's Mod when I've actually been playing games. Oh, it was the upcoming videos video. But yeah, that had the Chinese masks in it, didn't it? Yeah, well, that's the thing when I went to Poland hype as well. I know Poland isn't Russia, obviously. But that was the thing is that, you're kind of always surprised when you sometimes go to these places and you realize just how nice they are, And that's one of the things that annoys me about all the people who are really closed-minded that hate anybody that's from a foreign place because all these people must be, I sometimes play on the zombie survival ones, Monty. There's Sunrust ones. The only problem with those servers is it's kind of like 4chan poll tier a lot of the time, so I don't talk to anybody on the server. I just play the game, so I enjoy zombie survival. But the chat is constantly spammed with like racist shit and whatever. So I don't join in the chat because obviously the community isn't very good if you put it that way. But I enjoy the game and I do enjoy the version they've got on that server. It's just I normally listen to like LBC while I'm playing it. Oh yeah, St. Petersburg is Leningrad formerly, isn't it? Yeah, that's the one my dad really wants to go to if we go to Russia. Barely any more, Monty. I've been on like 4chan before, don't get me wrong. It's just, I don't have... The problem is I think on a lot of 4chan, if people are actually having proper conversations about things, like if you could go on V and you could talk about video games exclusively in that thread, it'd be fine. But it's just, the problem is I think Poll's infected too much of the site. And while Poll can be funny on its own, it gets quite disturbing when you realise that there's people literally ranting about Jews and whatever else in stuff that has nothing to do with that topic. Interestingly enough, I'll find out what their name is, but the Russian Victory Museum in Moscow is subscribed to me. It's this channel, hang on. Recent subscribers, last 90 days, and they have 33.6k subs. Let me give them, let me link you to their channel so they can get some more subs, but yeah. I can't understand the videos on there because I think they're all in Russian. But I don't know if they're subtitled. If they're subtitled, I'd watch them. But yeah, weirdly, they subbed me on YouTube. So yeah, I've been subscribed by the Russian Victory Museum's official YouTube channel. Very strange, but yeah. Oh, that's cool. They actually let you touch them, do they? Because yeah, it's strange, isn't it? In like a lot of museums, you're not allowed to touch anything. I can understand from a preservation point of view why they don't let you touching things, but yeah, I always like museums where they physically let you, especially if there's tanks, just put your hands on them because it's a big tank. Well, as long as the vaccine is safe, like it should be, I have no problem with vaccines because vaccines for the human race are overall a good thing as long as they're done properly. Cheers, Monty. What did your uncle do in Chernobyl? Was he a liquidator or whatever? I hope he's all right, or whatever, because I know obviously a lot of people had health problems following Chernobyl, and like lots of other, nuclear sort of disasters and bomb tests and whatever else. Hard to say, Keaton. you know the Radium DP63 screen? If I put that on my, if I open the beta shield on the Victorine 450, it gives off about 0.57 Rontgen, so over half a Rontgen per hour. So that would be like 570 millirontgen. That's the DP63's back screen. So yeah, the other DP63 I'm just keeping the bloody fucking plate, you know, inside the thing. Yeah, that's definitely the thing, isn't it, Ian? That's, I think, what some people, when they're like, oh, you're hoarding, you know, you've got all this stuff, is, yeah, but I can physically touch this stuff and do what I want with it. You know, when you go to a museum, you can't appreciate the history sometimes of stuff as much if you can't touch it, you know. I mean, I love museums, don't get me wrong, even if it's a museum where everything was in glass cabinets, because they are great for educational resources, you know. And I never get the people who find museums boring, you know, because you're literally, seeing history there. But, you know, having the stuff yourself gives you a lot more appreciation for it because you can really play with it, you know. That's annoying, yeah. I definitely, if there's a museum and you could pay when you're there to shoot mil-spec guns, I would definitely do that. Well, bear in mind, Keaton, that microsieverts and millirontgens are different measurements, right? So, also, they're calibrated on different things. If assuming that neither of them are like really wrong, or anything's going wrong with them, or, you know, like one's working way better than the other, bear in mind that the CDV dose equivalent isn't calibrated on cesium, I don't think. I think it's calibrated on radium, weirdly enough, because the check source on the side of the CDV is radium, isn't it? So I have a feeling CDV 700s are calibrated on radium. And radium gives you a different dose equivalent with radioactive sources, if you had a Geiger obviously on it, than most Geigers are cesium-137. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that might be it, assuming that neither of your things are really wrong. All right, have a good evening, Hype. And yeah. Yeah, the fight. I appreciate the fighting wire. She said, plus you're taking much better care of it than most you're keeping your history alive. Thank you, I appreciate that. But yeah, I think the problem I have with some museums, and I can understand why they do it, is when they have such a big collection, none of it ever gets seen, you know, because lots of it is just in storage forever. And I can kind of understand why that happens with a museum, because they've only got limited space, you know, so a lot of the stuff has to go into storage. But it's kind of a shame if there's, you know, historical items that just go into a storage room and they never get seen. Most hilariously stupid filter, off the top of my head, Monty, probably the one that's the Chinese refillable filters that are too small to actually work properly. If you put a particle medium in them, they'd work fine, but as they are, they're useless. Random Duty member said, I'm going to have to read that in Join Duty voice. Said, would you recommend purchasing a Soviet PBF respirator? For actual personal protective use, no. Just because it's a bit questionable what's in the cheek filters for them, and all the cheek filters, you know, expired at this point. In terms of collecting them and that, they're cool. But yeah, if you wanted a PBF to be functional, as a functional mask, not really. It's actually annoying that you can't get new cheek filters for them, because they are really convenient masks. They're one of my favorite cheek filter masks in terms of, you know, being quite compact and sort of comfortable. Yeah, Bovington Tank Museum is amazing. Yeah, I've watched Cockney versus Zombies. It's got Alan Ford in Cockney versus Zombies. Do you know who Alan Ford is? Mike will know Alan Ford is if he's still in the chat. But yeah, if you go on that rad calculator site, hang on, let me get it up. The best site to use, Keaton, is this one. If you've got any radiation questions on measurements, because it will tell you the exact conversion of them. But in theory, 1 millirontgen is actually, well, 1 microsievert would be 0.14 millirontgen, because it's not actually like a 1 to 10 conversion. A millirem is 10 microsieverts, because the millirem is actually kind of balanced out. It's like the grey. It's to work on the... I agree with you, Chance. The thing I know some people obviously jokingly say about conspiracy theories, but like where we were on about earlier, anti-Semitism and all that. The thing that annoys me though is when there's something that clearly has nothing to do with Jewish people, right? Like literally nothing to do with them, and then somebody's blaming it on the Jews. It's just, I never get that. I mean, I know some people are probably doing it as a joke, and it is a bit of a fucked up joke, but I could kind of understand when people are doing it as a joke, that it's a joke. But it's when people are literally seriously coming up with like, these sort of, oh, it's the Jews did this, when it has nothing at all, whatever the story is, I don't want to go too much into that, but you know what I mean? It's one of those things where with some of the conspiracy theories, you're like, it's almost like a bingo card, isn't it? It's like, how long till somebody blames the Jews for this? White mask with the pink filter. You're probably looking at this one, are you? It's a bit messy there at the moment because, as I said, the Lee Enfield's not on the wall at the moment, so all the masks that were up there are just there. That is a Chinese MF1A with a TF1 GOST filter. This is kind of a Chinese ripoff of a shim style design with triangular eyepieces. Is the XM27 the see-through M17? Or is the XM27E4 a different mask? Because I know what the XM28 is, but what's the XM27E4? Let's have a look. I'll just Google it because trying to select moving chat is awkward. Googling XM27E4 hasn't got any results actually coming up for masks. Yes, I would love to get a Shim 2012. Sadly, I've not seen anybody exporting them from Russia. Yeah, well, if you remember in that video, Lord Quanticus, I said, like, technically Nordic/Scandinavian, and I said that at the beginning that, I was grouping Finland in, but I know Finland technically isn't, And if I had any Danish masks, I'd have shown them in the video, but... Well, Keaton, I was saying Alan Ford's in Cockney versus Zombies, and I said Weapon Collector, that's Mike. He'd know Alan Ford is, and he said Alan Ford is a great actor. So I said I knew he'd know who that is. But Alan Ford's like the Cockney bloke who's in loads of films. He's in, my favourite thing of Alan Ford is in the Armando, if I can pronounce his name, Armando Iannucci. I'm not going to pronounce his name right. But, the Armando Iannucci show, whatever it is. He's in a sketch in that he's a bloke who, East End Thug, he's called in that. But he's a bloke you get to come swear at your washing machine and threaten your washing machine or whatever if it's broken down to get it working again. Yeah. I don't think they're designed to be comfortable, really, Random Duty Member. I think they're just designed to be functional, because making straps would be more resources, wouldn't it? So, just make a single bit of rubber that pulls on, like a head condom. George Orwell, have you seen Freds? Because if you've seen Freds, you probably know what my answer is going to be. Would you want to survive it? In all honesty, I think if there was a full-size nuclear exchange, obviously not like a limited, very, very limited exchange, but if there was mutually assured destruction, I think the world you would live in post the bombs would be so horrible that, you'd hope to die pretty much instantly in the bombing itself. No, this was GOST, I believe, this one. I've not tried putting a NATO filter on it, but I believe it's probably GOST. Wear it? Do you mean wear it? I will in a second. I've got a beer, so I'll drink some more beer and then I'll put it on. But the problem is you can't hear me talk with this one on because it's got my voice diaphragm. I'm not going to bother testing it now, Keaton, but it's a lot lower because it's only really measuring mostly the gamma coming through from the Chinese one, the steel one. Right. So yeah, you probably can't hear me now because this obviously muffles your voice quite a lot. As you can see, it seems. So yeah, certainly not a comfortable mask because, you know, I mean, if I shaved my head again, it'd be a bit more comfortable, but, you know, it's practical, but it's not very comfortable. Yeah, well, I assume you just mean a cheap NATO mask, essentially, don't you? And sadly, not many of those about. Actually, can you get the one on AliExpress I always recommend, because NATO filters seem to screw into that fine. I think they made it in 40mm NATO because, you know, that was popular. Let me link it. Right, this one. As long as you're not unlucky and get a different one than they sent me. Well, I know you get a different one than they sent me because it's not the same mask, because they make lots of masks. You know what I mean? As long as they've not changed anything since with the factory tooling, that mask is 40mm NATO because my NATO filters screw into it absolutely fine and make an airtight seal. Yes, there's a guy called Sophistry who collects lots of Australian gas masks. I don't know if he does many YouTube videos, but he does have a website about Australian gas masks. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what the URL is, and I do have it bookmarked. But yeah, Sophistry has lots of Australian masks. Australia, I don't know if they ever came up with any cool domestic designs, but they did do lots of things like the Australian light anti-gas respirators, ALAGs, which are like the camo masks. Yeah, the page works for me unless something's gone very wrong now. Completely depends which particular gas mask, Easton, because there's lots of gas masks in World War II, and not all of them are the same. Threads. Some of them don't even have threads; they have like filters taped to them. But Britain used 60mm on the masks we made where there was filters that screwed on. Germany is 40mm. What's the word for it? DIN, 40mm DIN. DIN, I believe, for most of their masks in World War II. Same for Finland. Yeah, that's the only problem, isn't it, Insulted? But yeah. Originally, George Orwell, the point of them was they were meant to be sort of, if you had a mask with two cheek filters, it was meant to be that they wouldn't catch on stuff as much as a bigger filter that stuck out the mask. And it was meant to be that they were lighter and more convenient. Now, jury's out, did they succeed with that? There's probably a reason we moved away from cheek filters. They had some quite good ideas with cheek filters. I just don't think I think they were a bit half-baked when a lot of the masks came out. No, the MC1 is 40mm Ghost A-Truck Campbell because it's a Polish Cold War mask, so made in the Soviet bloc, essentially. A Warsaw Pact Soviet sort of bloc. Well, if poison gas was used anywhere, it would be bad. You know, if it was poison gas was used against people without proper NBC gear, then it would be worse, you know, in terms of casualties. But, you know, you can look at the historical uses of gas in warfare and that give you an idea. I mean, when Italy invaded, which what was called Abyssinia, but it's Ethiopia now, isn't it? They used mustard gas against the Abyssinians or the Ethiopians when they did that, and that was, you know, horribly effective because lots of the Ethiopians, you know, didn't have good clothes, let alone gas masks. But you know, what tends to happen in military conflicts, obviously, most countries after World War I, thankfully, didn't attack each other with chemical weapons again, but it has happened in the past, after World War One. But for the most part, what the thing is that happens with gas is it's kind of like a nuisance in the sense of a bigger picture. It doesn't really do much. It's horrible for the people involved in being gassed, but in terms of, like mutually assured destruction type stuff, it's like everybody just went with nukes later on because nukes were, a lot more, wow, you can wipe everything out with a nuke. No, I've never used TikTok at all. Yeah, I've got an IP4M. I've done a video on it. Both Czech and Polish masks are GOST, sadly, from that time period, because both of them were Warsaw Pact nations. Sadly, I don't have any nukes. I don't know, Monty. Sadly, I'd assume not, because as far as I'm aware, the Hungarians had the 75M or whatever it was called, and the 69M or whatever they were called, the two civilian and sort of military style masks, and that PMG clone. I don't think they ever had a GP5 clone. I could be wrong. Chance says, what's the green box with the knobs and stuff? Did you assume it's gender? Well, if you mean that, that's it's not powered up because I have to connect it to a power supply. But that is a British dosimeter reader and radiation detector that went in like Land Rovers in the 1980s. So how it works is you can put dosimeter watches in there and take a reading off of them. There's one in there at the moment. It will tell you how much radiation you've absorbed. And the display is there. So when it's powered on, you push that down. If you've got it set to read, and then you press it down, it reads the thing on there. If you have it set to the others, it gives you a reading for what the essentially the radiation levels are in the air as far as I'm aware. At some point I need to open it up and look how the electronics work inside. All right, Gretchen? Yeah. The point is chemical weapons are horrible. Like, I find respirators and all that really interesting, but the thing is, you would never want chemical weapons to be used in any sort of conflict, I didn't see your question, Albie May. Can you post it again? It might be YouTube didn't let it through. But it's not showed up in my recent chats. In theory, Monty, as strange as it might sound, yes, there is a hose system for the Czech M10 that was designed so it could be attached, I think, to rebreathers and overpressure systems and everything else. I've never seen one in person, but I've seen pictures of it. It's the Russian one from World War One, isn't it? Mostly just a name difference, Bella. They're the same thing, really. I mean, different countries use different things, but the sort of slang simple term is gas mask. I mean, technically, anti-gas mask would be a better word, but, gas mask is the word lots of us use because it's simple and it's easy to remember. A few markers, but they all came on at the start. I assume I don't Mystic Gamer because I don't recognise the name. Which mask are you on about, Bob Basic? If I'd have to know which mask you're on about first. If you said it, sorry, I must have missed the comment where you mentioned what the mask was. Hard to say, Monty, because I mean, obviously, something like the most I think I've paid on a single item would have been my Martini Henry. But that's a gun, so. Too much money, Oscar. Too much money. But yeah, a lot. I don't know. For tax purposes, what I do now, obviously, is every year I record how much I'm making from YouTube and, the spending of YouTube money on militaria as, like revenue and expenditure. But you know, I don't want to think over the years how much I've spent. Way too much. What filter should I get for a GP5? Albie says. You'll want a safe filter for it, so don't use the old GP5 filter. You've got a few choices, but it's whether or not you can get any. Let me see on AliExpress if I can find those TF1 filters. Because they'd fit on a GP5 fine. Right. I can't see that particular one, right? I don't know for definite, so don't get angry with me if this doesn't actually fit a GP5. However, I believe, let me just shorten the URL because it's doing that really, really long URL thing. I believe that this is probably 40mm GOST. Yeah, the problem with FP5 filters is, if you didn't see my 20-minute video on them where I was measuring lots of them, not all of them are GOST. So yeah, some FP5 filters will be GOST, even though apparently FP5 filters shouldn't be GOST, and will fit masks fine that are GOST masks. Not all of them are, so you might get an FP5 filter that's actually 40mm NATO and it won't fit your GOST mask. All right, cool, Monty. Have a good day. Oh, thank you, Andy. But yeah, I'm loving that unit. But yeah, Andy was the guy I ended up buying the that Gen 2 night vision scope from. Let me show you some footage I filmed of it yesterday. The video for it comes out next week. But cheers, I appreciate that. But yes, it's a really nice scope, isn't it? But yeah, for those of you who didn't see it earlier, I'll just show you that because that's why Lee Enfield isn't on the wall at the moment. We had my granddad round today to give him some company. And, you know, what do you think he likes to play with when he comes over? Oh yeah, all of the guns and everything. But yeah, I think, although obviously this is not an ideal way of showing a night vision video, this should give you some idea of just how damn good that one was. Is it playing? Yeah, there we go. I'll dig out my proper mount for putting a phone or a camera on the night visions, but that was near pitch black to the eye. So yeah, sadly that's not focusing very well. But yeah, the actual proper video with the footage will be up next Sunday. Well, this Sunday technically. Well, not today, but you know, the Sunday coming. Yeah, the point is that that's the best actual night vision unit I've ever used. And I know I'm not really qualified to talk about night vision because I've not used enough of it. But you know, most of you want my opinion, I guess, or you won't watch my videos. So yeah, it's a Gen 2 and it's quite an early Gen 2, but it is a really, I think it's because it's just such nice actual like glass optics on it. It lets in a lot of light. But yeah, that's the rifle he actually had when he obviously was in World War II, a Lee Enfield. But so he likes playing with it. But he always goes, "Oh, it wasn't as heavy as that back in the day." And I said, "Yes, it was. It's just you're older now." What's your question, Murphy? I can see you saying, "Please answer my question," but I can't see the question. The night vision's more fun, George. If you go out at night, you can stargaze in night vision to a cooler degree than you can with the eye. Stargazing with night vision is really fun. But one of the things I like doing with night vision is looking for animals at night, you know, deer and stuff like that. You shine a torch, they run off. Night vision, they don't know you're there. I don't know if the Serbian M1 or the Yugoslavian M1 filters contain asbestos, but they're not very good filters. So I'd say put a finished 60mm filter on it. Yeah, I've seen a lot of pictures like that of like kittens in World War II and, you know, soldiers playing with them. If the TF1 fits you properly and it's in good condition, Jonas, just use the TF1 because it's newer. No, I've got an air rifle and stuff, Jacob, but I never bother. There's been times where people have wanted me to do pest control stuff, but then when I've actually, tried to arrange a time to do it, they've never actually gone through with saying, I'll come around the air rifle this time. But the thing is, I like animals. I don't like the idea really of shooting animals. But what did that person ever post his question that asked the thing? Oh, does Serbian M1 contain asbestos? So, yes, sorry, I did answer that. Yeah. If you know a company, just post them. It won't let you post a link in YouTube, but you can just post a thing. Covidiot news. Thank you, Oscar. There was something I saw on the BBC earlier that made me go, "Oh my god." There was the thing about the doctor being stabbed in a hospital, but that's not necessarily Covidiots, is it? It doesn't, your faith in humanity. Almost half of Blackburn virus contacts not reached. Good to see our contact tracings on it. Yeah, this was the Covidiot thing I saw earlier. Hang on. Thousands attend a legal rave at RAF Charmy Down near Bath. Because, let's go to a fucking rave when there's a deadly virus on. Why not? Yeah, that's my point, Jacob. It's one of those things where, again, it's one of those things. I'd do it if I, really had to, but it'd have to be done in a very controlled, proper way. But not a sensible thing to do. But I know people who have to have pest control done. But one of the people I know who does pest control just does it themselves. So I'm sure if I really wanted to kill something, they'd let me come over and do it. But generally, they just shoot the animals themselves. But it's where they've got a certain type of roof. It's like a thatched roof. They have like crows. Crows are considered pests in the UK, so it is fine to shoot them. By the way, I'll just point out because there's some birds you can't shoot, and the crows rip their roof apart. And obviously the cost of rehaving your roof done, because the crows breaking it. And I like crows as a bird, but I can totally understand why they shoot the crows. And it's one of those things as well that once you kill a couple of crows, they don't come to your garden anymore. Yeah. That's the thing, Gretchen. The thing I like with the crows, though, is because they are smart. They now know not to go in that person's garden. But every now and again, I guess it's a different family or like group of crows or jackdaws or whatever, and they have to shoot a couple before they realise, don't go destroying that person's roof. Sadly, no. Maybe that's why they couldn't find Saddam's WMDs, because they were here all along. Lots and lots of different things, Oscar. An assortment of basically respirators and masks that the Soviet Union had. The problem is when you're facing insane levels of ionizing radiation, a mask is only protecting you from inhaling airborne, particles of stuff. It's not going to stop the gamma rays from completely cooking your cells. But they have like the little Soviet Y2K style see that poster behind me? Like the P2 Y2K style masks. The PY60Ms had those. GP5s and all the other things, I suppose, would have been used, but Sadly, no, I don't think I have any Albanian gas masks. No, I don't. I'm pretty sure I don't. Sometimes there's ones where I have to think, do I have ones from this country or not? But no, I'm pretty sure I don't have any Albanian masks. I've got an Albanian mug, but that doesn't count, does it? It's just a mug that says Albania on it, and it's got a photo of some statue somewhere in Albania. Because one of my dad's old work colleagues was Albanian, and they bought it him as like a gift when they went to this is not actually mine, it's my dad's, but it's in the kitchen and any of us can use it. So that's the closest I've got to an Albanian gas mask, is a mug from Albania that was, bought as a souvenir for my dad by one of his Albanian co-workers. Yeah, he also thinks, Singh, though, doesn't he, that the Queen's a lizard. So, maybe... The thing with David Icke is I think he's one of those people that's been right about a few things in the past, just because the problem is with a lot of the proper conspiracy theorist people like David Icke and Alex Jones, is when you basically think everything is a conspiracy theory, now and again you'll be right about something. But no, I do not think coronavirus is fake. But, Why would you want the Soviet Union back? They did a lot of evil shit, right? There is a great Putin quote, though, about the Soviet Union. He said, and obviously this is English, but it translates quite well to English when it's translated. It says, "Whoever doesn't miss the Soviet Union has no heart. Whoever wants it back has no brain," which is quite a good way of thinking about it, I suppose. I mean, America probably misses not having the Soviet Union there because, they had a justification for all the military spending back in the Cold War because they were facing, the big bad guy, the Soviets. Yeah, exactly, Tev. A broken clock is right twice a day, exactly. Yeah, M50 is a current military generation mask, so, the chances of them finding them cheap aren't really going to happen. George Orwell says, "What if Saddam's WMDs were actually the friends we made along the way?" Yeah, at the moment we've just got a budgie. Like I said, we've had rabbits. They lived to quite good ages, the rabbits, but when the rabbits, we had 2 rabbits. Both of them were like adopted rabbits. The male was at least 10. We don't know exactly how old he was because obviously we only know roughly when the person got him that we adopted him from. The other rabbit, we have no idea how old she was because she was like an abandoned animal, in a box basically, or a bag with a load of other dead rabbits. And I adopted her from the Blue Cross. And yeah, they lived quite a long time, but sadly dead now. But yeah, at the moment we've only got a budgie. They're deactivated, Pablo. I've got 2 guns which are live, but they're ones that you can own as antique firearms in the UK with no licenses. Schmitz Reuben and a Martini Henry. Metro series is alright, George Orwell. I never really got into the gameplay of them though, but I ought to try playing them again. 2033, when I replayed it, I did like it a lot more than when I originally played it. No, sadly, Bob, I don't know any Albanian gas masks. There might be, if you look on one of the big gas mask sort of catalogue type sites, there might be Albanian masks listed there, but I've not really bothered to look. Not really Soviet propaganda. The closest I've got to Soviet propaganda is like that poster there. Yes and no, Easton. In terms of, I'd say, doing a job, it's a very easy job. In terms of, if you're interested in something, just filming a video on it. I find that easy. I mean, you have to put up with people being like abusive to you every day. So, I know like pretty much anybody does when they get to any tier of kind of celebrity type stuff, hate mail type stuff. But yeah, so that's the only bit I'd say is the bad bit about it, but like I said, I think you've done something right if you end up getting, to the point where people want to send you hate mail just simply for the fact you exist. But the easiest way for that, Pablo, would have a suicide pill, I imagine, or just sit under the nuke as it goes off. But I was answering that earlier in the stream. You would not want to survive an all-out nuclear war. You could just buy a spear, though, couldn't you, Jonas? I mean, a spear is a lot cheaper than getting a deactivated gun and probably handles a bit better for thrusting. No, I'm not selling any masks. If somebody is using pictures of my masks on eBay, it is not me selling them. Because I know people do download pictures from my videos and sometimes put them up on listings. There shouldn't be, Gaser, because we can buy mags, no issue. Wow, actually, I don't know where they've changed the deact gun laws in Europe, if that's an issue. But we're meant to be leaving the EU. But in the UK, for example, every single deactivated gun I've got, the magazines still work. I won't show a gun on here because obviously YouTube policy. But come on, yeah. Oh, it says an M1 carbine magazine. So yeah, my point is though that magazines, even when you get Diat guns, for quite a long time, they never even, did anything with the mags. The mags are fully functional. So yeah, there shouldn't be any problems with sending mags, but you never know. Yeah, I'm all right, Chocolate Muffin. The stream's been quite a good one today, actually. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, the EU had seemed to have a problem with magazines. I don't know why. I mean, you need ammunition and a gun for a magazine to actually be, any use. It's not actually. Right, see you, Easton. Most of them fall under antique firearms, Jacob, so you're allowed to own them. I mean, owning the black powder, I think, needs some sort of license. But if there's a thing called antique and obsolete gun laws, and if you look, you can find like lists of all the guns that fall into it. And that's why I said that's why I've got a Martini Henry and a Schmitz Rubin, because both of those fall into antique guns, not antique and obsolete guns. I mean, the guns still work; they're not really obsolete, but it's because they're considered. I think the ammo is meant to be so hard to get for them that they don't think anybody would bother. Yes, but in the history of the human race, British Empire, there has never been a thermonuclear world war. If we had a Fred's tier thermonuclear war, I think the Earth would be pretty uninhabitable. Well, if you shoved food through the voice diaphragm, it would break your voice diaphragm. The closest you can come to eating of a gas mask is, I believe, a couple of masks have like essentially drinking tube style methods for like glucose. I think it's the German M2000 that has a system where they made kind of like little glucose satchel things that could be essentially squirted into the mask through the drinking tube. But you're not really meant to have a mask on for that long, I guess, if you have to worry about eating with it on. I don't have a Canadian Mark IV. I've got a Canadian C4. Hang on a second. Let me move this Keithley instrument. And then a bit later on, I'm going to tidy this up and work out what I'm going to do with the display. As I said, that's all been moved around. But yeah, that's a Canadian C4 if you mean a Canadian C4. But if you mean a Mark IV as in like the World War II Mark IV masks, no. I suppose that would work, wouldn't it, Mike? But yeah, well, if as long as they fit through the valve between there. But yeah, it'd be quite hard to breathe until you'd eaten the M&Ms. Yeah, but here's the thing, British Empire, if you worried about them changing the law so you can't own something in the future you can own now, you'd never buy anything, would you? There was a shitty thing with the obsolete guns a while ago, and then they just completely forgot about it again. I think of all the coronavirus stuff at the moment, nobody probably cares about legislating more on guns or knives or swords, because it's not really most people's concern at the moment. That was eBay A-Truck Campbell, but apparently not all of those hoses are the... I think mine's just a GOST one, essentially. Although NATO filters seem to fit on the bottom of it fine. But yeah, the Chinese hose is probably one of those Chinese transitional hoses, whatever Hype said. I think he said there's a 40mm transitional thing. That, like where China's trying to go from GOST to NATO, so they're kind of doing some weird things where they've made some sockets that aren't quite either GOST or NATO. But yeah, regarding those Chinese hoses, I got mine off eBay, but I've heard other people say when they've bought them that they've either just been GOST or like NATO ones, so they've not worked with certain masks. Best World War II mask is the Finnish M39, I would say. G-Man's come on the stream, although it's Mr. Weirdo. He says, "Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman. Rise and shine." I don't know if that was a very good G-Man impression or not. Not to imply you've been sleeping on the job. No one is more deserving of a rest than you. What do you mean by a P1944 gas mask? If you mean a British light anti-gas respirator, I can never see the comparison when people say it looks like an S10. Wake up and smell the ashes. You know, like the people that won't follow any of the rules to keep themselves and other people safe. You know, like the people who are going out having like Corona parties and stuff like that. Well, the Warsaw Pact did collapse. So I guess NATO filters in a way did beat the Warsaw filters. Ah, cool. That's the one with the old Mark 1 Argus helmet, isn't it, Jacob? But yeah. I've not heard Joe. I will answer what George Orwell said there. Just because this stream's coming to an end now. Oh, I've been on an hour and 15 minutes. Okay. So Joe Biden on I don't know anything about smart guns. Is this a gun that is like a judge's lawgiver in the Judge Dredd universe, where it's like DNA encoded to the person? I don't know. But I know Joe Biden probably has some sort of mental deterioration. Not saying that to be a dick. I literally think if you look at videos of Joe Biden, you know, I think he is just, you know, they shouldn't really be making him run for president because I think he's a bit too old and, you know, sadly senile. So most of the stuff Joe Biden says seems to be complete nonsense. And I'm not saying that to be like a dick about Joe Biden. I just literally do think, you know, he's at that sort of age and, you know, maybe does have Alzheimer's or dementia or something, because a lot of the time when you hear Joe Biden talk, he literally just sounds confused and has no idea what's going on. But yeah, so that's your choice in the US, isn't it? You have Trump and you have a man with Alzheimer's. What a brilliant combination, you know, choice you have. You know, Trump's going to win, isn't he? Because I think Trump's going to win, but, you know, you thought the choice between Hillary and Trump was bad. Now you've got Trump and a man with Alzheimer's. You know, why can't the Democrats just get a good candidate that people would vote for? It's like, if you were running against Trump, surely you'd pick the most popular person in your party and say, right, that's the person we're running as president. But yeah, I know they're corrupt. Most political parties are corrupt, but you know. Your AR-14s and your AK-42s. Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing as British politics, Sim Frost. I actually quite like Keir Starmer, the new leader of the Labour Party here, though, because he has done a lot to clean up his party. Because in the last election, Labour got absolutely trounced. And the reason is just that I think when Corbyn made it like an extreme far-left party, most normal people said, I'm not voting for that, even if they're traditional Labour voters. You know, and he's done a lot to clean all the anti-Semitism and the racism out of the party, which is good because, you know, most normal people do not want to vote for racist parties, you know. Oh, what? Where I got the DPM trousers? Army surplus stores and eBay. If you're looking for them, Snorky, I can literally link you to some right now because it's very easy to find DPM trousers. Right, DPM trousers. Well, they're going up in price a bit, DPMs now, because I guess because they're I suppose they're like obsolete stock now, aren't they? They don't make more of them. Oh, the link's too long. Brilliant. Let me see if I can shorten the link somehow. Right. Well, actually, all you just need to do is go on eBay and type in DPM trousers, and then you'll find them. Like literally, Delta Papa Mike. It's disruptive pattern material. So that's what these look like. There's Dutch DPM that's a slightly different color. There's a couple of other countries that did DPM. It's like UK woodland, basically. It was the camo we used properly anyway, because we had kind of like camo patterns that were like DPM before this DPM, but this is the 1990s DPM that lasted until very recently, where we now use MTP, which is the like kind of multicam thing. But yeah, British DPM. Only thing to warn you about British DPM trousers, very comfortable in warm weather because they're quite thin. Don't climb over a barbed wire fence or anything with them, you'll rip them horribly. German Flecktarn trousers are much better made in terms of like material quality. These are like really thin, shitty material. They're comfortable, that's why I like them, but they're essentially just like wearing like tracksuits around the house, but you know. Anyway, I'll be off now. Thank you, everybody. It's been a good stream tonight. You know, we did have a few Covidiots come on, but hello, Rajiv. Sorry, I'm just going off anyway. If you just came on, but you know, I've been on for an hour and 20 minutes now. But have a good evening, everybody. Stay safe and all that.